how did the parliament come into existence in Britain? And when did its power become more than that of the British crown, the king or the queen? How did that happen, right? Interesting question. So historically, before the Normans conquered England in 1066 AD, there was no parliament or any such thing. Before the Normans, you had the Anglo-Saxons, the Angles and the Saxons who ruled over these islands, the British islands, and they had a system. They had kings, obviously, and the kings would have a council of advisors, which was called the Wighton. Wighton Gamot was the meeting of the council of the king, that sort of thing. And that's where the real power lay, the king and their council of advisors. Then once the Normans took over, when William the Conqueror conquered England in the year 1066 AD, he smashed the existing system, destroyed it, and replaced it with a Norman system. And which eventually became what England is today, what Britain is today. So the King William and his descendants for a couple of centuries, they would have a council of advisors themselves, which was called, I don't remember what it was called in Latin, and that's where the power lay. But eventually, by the 13th century or something, some kind of parliament had emerged, which was essentially the powerful people. They would be brought together in one place so that they could decide about the important things of the country. So it would be priests, which are cardinals and all that, and there would be some wealthy landowners and the nobles. So that was the kind of parliament you had. It was all entitled, privileged people, and they would come and decide about some minor affairs in the country, and they would maybe make some decisions that would have some impact at a low level in the country. Then over time, the parliament became a more established thing. And then you would have then eventually you had a House of Lords and a House of Commons. The Lords were the old parliament, the priests and the aristocrats and the landed nobles, all of those people, those were the Lords. And then you had a House of Commons, which was the common people who had no nobility or any such thing, no privilege. And they also would send people, and that's how the parliament was divided into two houses, the House of Lords and the House of the Commons. And eventually and slowly over time, the parliament became gradually over time more consequential, slightly more powerful over time. By the 14th 15th century, the parliament had significant control over taxation, possibly, and taxation and legislation, right? But the ultimate power obviously lay in the crown, the king. Then there was a revolution. So then the parliament, obviously the nature of power is that you want more and more power. So there was a revolution in 1688. 1688, if I'm not mistaken, it was called the Glorious Revolution. Let's fact check my year. Do I remember it correctly? Was it the glorious thing in 1688? Glorious Revolution 1688. There was a glorious revolution in 1688, which saw the deposition of these kings, James and all, and different. I think it was a woman who came to power, who was put in power, who was a relative of James, and her husband was a foreigner. I don't remember the specific details. You can look it up, and that's where Parliament becomes more powerful than the king. 1688, and then the king becomes a kind of a figurehead. So after the Glorious Revolution, Britain became a constitutional monarchy in which the king would give his rubber stamp approval to whatever Parliament said. And the king could not function without Parliament support, that sort of thing. So that caused a different kind of equilibrium. And today it is said that the monarchy is just a sort of figureheads, and they clearly don't really have any real power, but they still are extremely wealthy. So that's how it happened. It's a very gradual process that took roughly 1,000 years, maybe 800 years, that sort of thing. So that's how the power structure evolved in England and in Britain over a period of about 8-9 centuries. So